This winter's been brutal.
Yeah.
I think it'll be a hot summer.
I think so. I mean, we've already reached 32 degrees over here.
Yeah.
So, and it's only, just starting September.
It's going to be an Indian summer.
My full name is Ainslie Clive Anthony Smith. I was born in Calcutta, in West Bengal, in India. My father's name was Edwin Clive Smith. My mother was Muriel Phyllis Smith. I don't remember, to be quite honest, the time they were born. My father was in the police, and my mother was a secretary at British American Tobacco in Calcutta. And I think they used to play badminton together at the British American Tobacco Company's recreation place, and that's where they first met. My father went to school in Agra, also a boarding school, and my mother in also a convent in Assam. But somehow they managed to get together in Calcutta. I have a brother, 2 years younger than me, also born in Calcutta, and my sister, she was born in the UK after we left India and came to the UK. She was born in the UK, so and she's 14 years younger than me. So she was born around in 56, 57. The earliest memory that comes to mind is the riots in Calcutta, because that was the time when there was talk of partition. My dad being in the police, I remember him going out quite often because he was in charge of a couple of Gurkha battalions. He had to go down and quiet these uprisings. So that was my first impression of youth. And then the other one was, of course, being in boarding school in South India. I think that we were just too naughty, so we had to be sent off to boarding school. Because at one stage, from what my mother tells me, we tried to kill the ayah. I don't know why, I can't remember. But so we all shipped off to boarding school as far away as possible. So we went to Lawrence Memorial Royal Military School in Lovedale in South India. It was about a 4-hour journey from Calcutta. So we only saw our parents basically once a year for about a month. But I finished part of my education at Lawrence School, reached standard 9 over there, and after that, when we went back to the UK, then I went to Selhurst Grammar School and finished and got my GCE O-level over there. And education-wise, that sort of stopped then until I came to Rhodesia, and I went to Bulawayo Technical College to study mining engineering. Because at that time, a lot of the engineers were coming down to South Africa, to Wits University, to be trained in mining engineering and doing their practicals in the mines over here. And of course, after they qualified, they stayed. So Rhodesia never had any mining engineers, they were all down here. So they started a mining engineering course at Bulawayo Tech. And they took the first course was 7 of us from different mines, gold mines, coal mines. I was on an asbestos mine and chrome mine. It was a 3-year course. Of course, after that, I left and came down to South Africa. But I worked on the mines for a while, for about 2-3 years, as a junior mine official, and then later on became a shift boss at Shabani Mine. And that's where I met my wife Petal, and we came down to South Africa. I don't remember too much of Calcutta because at the age of 7 I was sent off to boarding school. My brother was 5. So not too much. I know that we used to annoy some of the locals over there, especially like the Afghans. If we saw them walking the street, we would shout out, "Aga, aga, aga, murgirege baga," which means chicken thief. And of course, they wanted to get up with their knives and sort us out. But things like that, and those were the first memories of up to the age of 7, and after that was boarding school, which is It was quite tough. There was nobody to console you for any reason. You had to just, suck it up. And if you were bullied, well, that's too bad. Just learn to cope with it. I had one purpose in life only, and that was to be my true self. I didn't know what it was. But at the age of 16, at the age of 16 when I went to at the UK, I just watched people going past. And I could see like a trend. Person being born, going to school, getting a job, getting married, and then dying. I thought, well, there must be more to life than that. So there's always been one purpose in life, to be my true self. And when I started on my course of metaphysics around about in the 1980s, I studied here for about 2 years, and then I went to Hawaii for private teaching with a kahuna. And that was my first fantastic experience of the most beautiful place on earth, Hawaii. So we went back there for 82, 84, 88, 94 times to learn and study kahuna, which is the Hawaiian psycho-religious philosophy. And that started me on my journey to attain, on the journey of self-realization. And since then, there's been other religions that I've delved into at the time.
Such as?
Well, from a lot of rituals in Huna, so I started doing that for a lot of time, and a lot of breathing exercises, things like that. And then after a while, I got a bit dissatisfied, and then I delved into, joined the Rosicrucians. And I got lessons from them every so often, and was asked to involve myself in metaphysics. But that also began to bore me. I found it was just too slow. And I used to go to all these science of mind lectures all over the place. And one day I saw, at one of the places, I saw a man doing Tai Chi. And that just somehow resonated with me. So I started I found a Tai Chi teacher. I did the physical exercise. And after a few years, this must be more to it than that. This is not enough. There must be something behind that, because it is the core of Chinese culture. Tai Chi, which means the supreme ultimate. And it seemed to resonate with me. There must be a supreme ultimate in my life. Be who I truly am. So I found another teacher, and he started giving me a little bit more on the spiritual side of it, but not much. And then I started delving more into Taoism, and that really resonated with me, of balance and harmony, living with the flow of things, not trying to go against the flow, to live with nature, and to find balance and harmony in my life. Because quite often there was a lot of the external aspect of life, finding a job, raising a family, all that sort of stuff. But something was missing, the internal aspect of life. And that helped to bring me onto that path. So I studied Taoism, and that actually to this day still resonates a lot with me. And eventually, then I went through a stage of going to studying Buddhism. That also resonated with me. I went to the Buddhist seminary here at Bronco Strait, and they had one course only to live as a monk. So I lived as a monk, and except I didn't have my hair shaven, but otherwise, to all intents and purposes, lived as a monk. And the one thing that I came away from that is awareness. Awareness and compassion are the two words that stuck with me with the whole of Buddhism. Nothing else really resonates with me. Their ideas of suffering and that type of thing didn't resonate with me. But awareness and compassion are the two things that really resonated with me. And actually, if I might just digress a little bit, talking to my Tibetan friend Khenpo Jamyang, he asked me, when he went for breakfast one day, he asked me, how do you meditate and when do you meditate? And I said, well, I don't have a time, I don't have a day, I meditate all the time because I was in Sai Baba's teaching. If you're aware every moment of the day with what you're doing, what you're eating, what you're feeling, what you're seeing, whoever you're meeting with, that is meditation. Because meditation, after all, is awareness. And if you're aware every minute of your life of what's happening, you're in a constant state of meditation. And that's why this last lecture that I went to the other day, I was so thrilled because at the end of the lecture he said, that's exactly what meditation is awareness. And if you're aware every minute of your life, what you're doing, you're living in the now, experiencing the now, experiencing awareness, you are meditating. So you're meditating 24 hours a day, even when you're sleeping, you are still meditating. I used to work on, as I mentioned, on Mine in Shobani, and I actually first went out with my spouse's daughter first. I met, we used to go, the Mine Club was the center of all activity on the mine. And I saw her playing badminton over there, and we just got chatting, and I started going out with her. And she eventually left in Shobani because life was too slow on the mine. And she came down to Johannesburg. And her mother, who later became my spouse, invited me to come and have supper with her every so often, so I used to do that. And eventually, we got together and we came down to South Africa. This was in 68. And we lived in Durban for a while, before we came up over here to Joburg. I was at that stage 22, 23 years old, and she was about 35 or so. So, and she was a very, very beautiful woman, and we just seemed to hit it off. And but when we came down here, we lived in Durban for a while. Actually, for maybe 4 or 5 years we lived down there, and we eventually got married in a magistrate's office in Port Shepstone. And it was only our 2 friends were witnesses. That was about it. We never had any friends down. We had 2 friends here, and they were the witnesses. But they were the ones that were the most down to earth. They never judged us in any way, and that really got to me because everybody else was saying the big difference, and you went up the mother, and all that sort of gossip. So there was a lot of criticism from everybody, except these 2. Much older, they were older than us. The Regent Liddy Gessner, he was in the war up in North Africa and was captured there. But there was no judgment. Accepted us for who we were, gave us whatever we had, because we had nothing. Helped us with teapots or pots and pans, whatever, broken vase, broken jugs, whatever. But the salt of the earth. And forever they will be etched in my memory, because they were people like that will always be in my thoughts. Not the ones who come and go, or criticize or judge. They don't matter to me anymore. But people like that, who have quality, who are genuine people, they will always be in my heart.
Did you and your wife have any children?
Well, that's another story. My wife's daughter that I was going out with, she had a child. She was married before. That's why she came up back to Shobani, and she had a baby. Her name was Laureen. So when Petal and I was my spouse, Petal and I came down to South Africa, we brought Laureen with, and I adopted her. So she is my daughter, and she now lives in Germany. She got married, and she's got a daughter. So I do have a daughter. She's an adopted daughter, but to all intents and purposes, from 18 months to what she is now, 40 whatever, she's my daughter. Think about it, nothing else than just my daughter. Not as an adopted daughter, but just as a daughter.
What were your experiences raising your daughter?
I think very joyful ones, because at the time when we first went down to Durban, I didn't have a job. Petal had a job working as a beauty consultant in places like, I think, Sutherford's and places like that. So Laurie and I would spend a lot of time together, even on weekends, Saturdays, to go and fetch Petal from work and things like that. It was a wonderful time. And when we came up here, then Petal's mother used to look after her, and she had too much of an influence. I thought a negative influence, more sort of a undermining influence on authority and things like that. So having been brought up in a boarding school, I sent her to a boarding school in Capricorn up in Petersburg. And she has blossomed into a beautiful young woman, and we are very, very close. Even to this day, she phones regularly, and we have a long chat about things. She can sense things in me that nobody else can. Either by looking at me or just a tone in my voice, she'll say, "What's the matter, Dad?" Or "Don't do that." Or, "Yeah, what are you feeling?" She can feel what I'm feeling. So we have that sort of close bond.
And she's now married, is she?
She married up over here a German guy.
Yes.
And they immigrated. Well, they went to Germany some time ago. But when she was diagnosed with a tumor on her, I think it's pituitary gland.
Oh.
And she was told she could never have children. So at the age of about 42 or so, she went for a medical examination because she said she was developing a beer bump. And the doctor said, no, you're 4 months pregnant. So that's been a real blessing for her, because it's the last thing that she ever expected was to have a child. And here at that age, she had a daughter.
And you must be overjoyed.
Yes,
to have
indeed.
a granddaughter.
She's only been here once when she was like maybe 5 years old. She's now 16, so I haven't seen her since then. But she's also grown up to be quite a beautiful young girl as well. Yeah.
And Petal? Where is she?
Petal?
Yeah.
Petal passed away 2 years ago.
2 years ago.
She was ill with lots of different ailments. She couldn't see too well, she couldn't hear too well, she had stomach problems and women's problems as well. And 2 years ago she passed away.
Sorry.
31st of August in 23 she passed away, yeah. So we were married for like 55 years. Well, that's one thing that sort of I always admire about her, that to give up a life over there and to take a chance on a person who's 21, 22 years old, and to come with a baby, and she helped build our family and our life over here. So I admire a person who does things like that, who's prepared to give up for love. And for the first year or so she carried us because she had a job. I couldn't find a job. There's no mining jobs in Durban. So eventually I got to work as in an air conditioning company. But yeah, so I have a great admiration for people who sacrifice for others. There's a lot of love, but I think there's a lot of fear, and fear and love are two opposite ends of the spectrum. You cannot love if you fear, and if you do it's restrained. There's never a full expression of love, and people always tend to think of love purely on a material level, at the emotional level. But love is far greater than that, far greater than that. And unfortunately, a lot of people haven't broken through that, or gone through that door that leads to a higher level of consciousness of love. I like to think of love as the door between, Maslow's hierarchy of needs?
Yeah.
The three lower levels where everybody seems to be, at survival, security, and social. And the higher levels, self-esteem, self-actualization, self-realization, which is the pinnacle, the supreme ultimate, the goal. And in between, the social and the self-esteem is love. To me, is the gateway, is love. And if you can pass through that gateway into the higher levels of consciousness, then you are well on your way to self-realization. But love seems to have stopped at that point. Become purely emotional or material, physical, and not a higher levels. Because there's so many facets to love. And then you begin to tap into the higher levels of consciousness, the higher meanings of love. Things like compassion, gratitude, forgiveness, generosity.
What do you suppose keeps people trapped at the material level?
Fear.
Fear.
I think people who strive to go through that gate into higher levels of consciousness are born with that spark in them already. It just takes some time before it begins to get inflamed. Fear, people are comfortable where they are, and they don't, because of this on the social level, they don't want to experience. They're too afraid to take that step, because it means sometimes losing everything. You've got to lose in order to gain. You've got to lose yourself, and people are hooked to their families, their jobs, their relationships. And it's too comfortable. To break through that is very difficult. When you reach and even another level of consciousness, people don't they don't understand you anymore. And but I think fear is the greatest thing. People are so afraid. They're afraid of not having enough. They believe, excuse me, in lack and limitation. Because they lack money, that becomes a goal. They lack validation. They want validation from other people, so they have greater friendships. They lack self-esteem. They want to achieve something so people can say that can validate their existence. But you have to take the risk of losing yourself, or losing what you believe is yourself, the false self, the personality, in order to gain more. I always like to think of rivers. Rivers all have identities. Each one's got its own. The Ganges, the Amazon, and the Nile. But they have one purpose: to get back to the source. And when they get to the source, the ocean, they lose their identity, but they gain the power and the knowledge of the ocean. And the same with us. If we're prepared to lose our personality and to take that step, we can attain universal consciousness. We can grow, we can get into that, but we have to lose ourselves. I think religion said, wherever you find yourself, lose that self. But people are so their persona, their mind has become their personality, become who they believe themselves to be, and they don't know that they have a true self to begin with. So there's no desire to attain that, because they don't even know that they have a true self. Sai Baba always said we're three people in one: one who we think we are, one who other people think we are, and who we really are. And if we strive to attain who we really are, then we gain so much more. We lose the mind, we lose the personality, we become much greater. It is a risk, but either we live in falseness, because if we believe our personality and our mind is who we are living in falseness. It's not who we are. And all the great masters have come to show us who we truly are. They all tell us that we are divine. But we don't want to believe it, because we've been conditioned by our parents, by our friends, society, to believe that we are just not good enough, that we are not really divine, that we are sinners, and we are this and we are that. We were all given titles and sort of identities, which is not true. But we have to break through that. We have to have the desire to know the truth, of who we are. And then the doors begin to open. That's one of the reasons why I've dropped all organized religion in favor of spirituality, because all religions come from spirituality. Each one represents maybe one aspect of it. Like Christianity may express love as theirs. Buddhism, compassion, awareness. Taoism, more the flow of life. Hinduism, truth and righteousness. We need to put all these together, but each one they concentrate on one thing. So that's their path. But all paths eventually go to the pinnacle, the peak of the mountain, which is who you truly are, the one source. And that's one thing that I liked about Taoism, because Tai Chi teaches the balance, and the journey back is from Tai Chi you go to Wuji. Wuji means the void, the universe, the emptiness. That is who we are. We contain everything. We're not limited by a name or a race or anything. Our mind is now universal. And different things like Christianity have that analogy or that parable of the prodigal son going back to the father's house. All these things, they are signs in different religions pointing to where you go. But they never get taught that, because it's control. And if you can break through that control and free yourself from organized religion, then you can see clearly. I think I seem to remember in the ancient Vedas, the path of humanity is already laid out. There's 4 words in Sanskrit that describes everything. Dharma, Artha, Kama, and Moksha. And the first 2, Dharma and Artha, Dharma is righteousness. Artha is wealth and prosperity, but also, in that way, integrity, honor. Those 2 are linked together. The last 2 is Kama, which means desire, and Moksha, which is liberation. They go together as a pair as well. But people are not interested in righteousness anymore. No. They're not interested in, and as far as Artha, wealth is only money, property, that type of thing, shares. Desire still remains, but nobody's interested in liberation, self-realization. So even though it was a map for what humanity should be striving for, it's also a map of where we are. Because what's left is Artha and Kama, the desire for wealth. And that's what people are aiming for these days, wealth. As Sai Baba says, we're in the Kali Yuga, which is the age of unrighteousness and evil and cruelty and that type of thing. And yet, it is the time of the easiest time to attain self-realization. So you have this dichotomy. You have this evil, cruelty in the world, and falseness. Falseness is projected as the truth these days. And evil is projected as being good, and everything that is good is being portrayed as being evil. So you have this falseness that goes on in the world. And yet, it is a time for those who are seeking to attain self-realization quicker than in the previous ages. I think the greatest thing to me was coming to Sai Baba. Because everything else seemed to come to that one point. When I first got involved in crystals and the energy of crystals and the power of crystals and crystal elixirs and that type of thing, I met somebody in ashram in Benoni, and they loaned me a couple of books in Sai Baba. And when I first thought of him and I heard about him, I thought, no, this man is evil. That was my first thought. It's like a bit like Peter with the Christ. I said, no, I reject that. It's completely wrong. It just doesn't look right to me. Then I started reading and reading. And one day I was lying on my bed reading. I just burst into tears. I realized that he was a divine incarnation. I realized that people may not recognize, but here was the Christ come again. The people all over India came, they realized this is God incarnate as an avatar. Like Krishna and Rama and others, he is an avatar. That his avatarhood was forecast thousands of years ago in the Puranas. They said there will be a 200-year avatarhood. And we've been to the first segments for Shirdi Sai Baba, now then Satya Sai Baba, and the new one I believe has been born, Prema Sai Baba. Satya is truth, Prema is love. So that encompasses the 200-year avatarhood of Sai Baba.
Do you think that avatar has been born?
I believe so. I believe already in India as a young boy, people are recognizing him as Prema Sai Baba.
Did you ever meet Satya Sai Baba?
Yes, I did. I went to, the first time I went to Puttapati, the Prashanti Nilayam, which means the abode of eternal peace. And I used to always sit at the back on the wall where all the pensioners sat. And this thought came to me, why are you so far from me? Why don't you come closer to me? And then I met one of the Sai devotees over here. He somehow latched on to me. And he took me under his wing and said, come and we will sit together. And I sat 2 rows back one day. And he came at darshan, and he walked straight across to me. And he said, where are you from? And I gave the wrong answer. I said, South Africa. That's the wrong answer. The answer is you come from God. South Africa. And he did that, and he materialized vibhuti for me. So I held it in my hand, and the vibhuti fell in that. And I took it, it's like the most precious thing in my whole life, more precious than gold or anything. And I took that back, and I got up, and after darshan, all the others came around. Whatever had fallen on the floor, they were licking it up because it is holy ash.
Yes.
So I took it back to the room, and I put it into a handkerchief and folded it up. And whatever was on my hand, I licked my hand. Well, for the next few days, I was so ill. Everything started as like gunge was pouring out of different parts of my body. And the message came through to me that you are being cleared from all dimensions. All that had gone. And I was clear again. And the second time, when I went to Vrindavan, to his ashram at Whitefield in Vrindavan, and you have rows that you sit onto before you get into the darshan area, and everybody in the front, they get a sevadar goes there with a bag full of numbers, and each one picks a number, and that row goes in first, number 1, whatever. I was there for almost 2 weeks, and always it was numbers 18, 19, 20, whatever it was. On the last day, we were flying to Goa, and the row that I was sitting was chosen number 1. So we went first, and we sat close, right up where he walks down. And he walked down the aisle, down the center, and he started coming towards me. And he sent out a thought, what do you want? Because everybody wants an interview with Sai Baba. They want to have a personal interview that they could ask him questions or hear what he has to say. But he said at the time, don't ask for interview, ask for interview. So he came towards me and he said, what do you want? Interview or interview? And I said, I want to interview. And as he came closer and I gave that message, he turned and walked across the other side to where the ladies were. The ladies on one side, men on the other side. And that to me is the greatest gift anybody has ever given me. Interview. And that has seen me through everything since then, which is I think about 2005, around about there. But I think it's helped me to see beyond the surface, to see inner meanings, to see a bigger picture, So that to me was the greatest gift that anybody could give me, was the gift of interview. It should be, but then I thought, an interview, people are all craving for interview. But they ask a question, or he talks there for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and it's gone. With interview, it's there for life. Then when I talk to people and I hear what they're striving for, what they're doing, without saying, I tend to be able to have a better idea of a bigger scheme. One doesn't look at politics or religion or science or medical stuff. People concentrate on one thing at a time, and they only focus on that. With interview, I tend to be able to, I feel I can see a much bigger picture, a greater thing. And it's also helped me to attune more to life. I don't see myself as an individual anymore, but just an expression of a greater oneness. It's helped me to grow into that oneness. So I think that interview has been the turning point in my life in many, many ways. The greatest gift I have ever achieved, or been given, is that. Greater than all the gold in the world, is to have interview. There's a thing called faith. I think even in the Bible it said, or Jesus said, "Seek ye first the kingdom of heaven, and all else shall be added unto you." And I realized that many, many years, maybe 40 years ago. Then I think of the parable of, behold the birds of the air and that type of thing.
Yes.
Have faith. If you have faith, then you have experience. Once you have experience, you have knowledge. You have knowingness. It's got to begin somewhere. Faith is only the beginning, it's not the end. It's the beginning of something. And also, we tend to want to live life. We want to do things. We want to be in charge. We want to be in control. We don't allow life to live us. That's one of the things in Taoism also. Let life live you. It's not a case of being apathetic, which is the worst thing. That's a state of hopelessness. But the state of willingness and acceptance, of knowing that once you begin to know or have an inkling of who you are, allow yourself to be driven by an inner intuition, being the knowledge from within, the driving from within. And things will begin to happen better than if you had organized it, if you had controlled it. Where things happen more naturally, they are 1,000 times better. So one has to begin, I think, with faith. You may not have, at the time, money or a job or whatever, or friendships or relationships. But if you attune and allow yourself to work with the universe, work with nature, work with divine consciousness, things begin to happen. And it's a case of synchronicity. Once you take that first step, the universe almost says, now I must fill that void. It's like a magnet. I must go to get that, to have that person to attain that. So if your goal is something noble, things will happen to make it comfortable for you to attain that goal. But this is where the fear comes in. The people are afraid to let go. They want control all the time. And then sometimes you block off your good because you want to be in the driving seat. Say, let Krishna be in the driving seat, you want to be in the driving seat. And sometimes it doesn't work out the way you want to. Then you blame everybody else, then you become a victim.
Yeah.
But if you allow yourself to let life live you, because life created you for a purpose, but now you begin to take over and tell life what to do. But you let life live you, but that, as I say, being willing and acceptance, and not having the state of apathy. That's not sitting back and saying, I'm not going to do anything. Be aware once again. Be aware of who you are, and allow yourself to live and be driven, motivated from within. Then things work out. One thing I'd like to mention, also on a spiritual side. One year, the people next door, they had some contractors over there, and they broke in through that one door on that window on that side had louvered windows, and they broke in there and stole all my old stuff. So I decided to put a wall up over there, so because their house is slightly higher, so they could see it. So I put a wall up there. I had the money. I went to get the money to put that wall up. I was followed home by 3 armed guys and hijacked over here at the entrance. And they tried to steal the car, and I wouldn't let them. I fought them, and eventually they hit me and they ran off. I wanted to know how to get over that. And I remember one phrase that came through to me, which actually saved me from going to say depression and that type of thing. Is there anything that you could not accept if you but knew that everything that happens, past, present, and still to come, has been carefully and lovingly planned by the one whose only purpose is your good? I realized then, everything that happens, even this, something good's going to come out. And I switched. It was like a switch. I didn't go into a state of victimhood or depression or anything. I just accepted that, and I could move on with my life. To me, that was one of the most profound things that I read. That it always stayed with me. That everything that happens is has been planned. So as I said before, there was an overall plan that we have that has been organized for us. We have small choices, but there is an overall plan, and that plan is for our own good. If we would just align ourselves with it, once again, let life live through you. And that made all the difference in the world to me. Just that one little phrase, one little paragraph. There's so many things. I think I mentioned to you one is that love all, serve all, help ever, hurt never. Simple phrases, but they're so profound. And to live by them, you've got to change your whole attitude, the way you live your life. You've got to just by a little phrase like that, but it's so profound. And if you live that way, the world opens up, life opens up to you. If you can love all and serve all, when you're serving some other people, it's something extra. You're giving out to somebody else. You're not internalizing anything. And to help ever and hurt never. It's wonderful, never to hurt anybody. By not we're not saying things that could hurt them. Not doing things that could hurt them. There's so much falseness in the world. Everything has been shifted. Everything has been shifted in such a way that the truth is portrayed as false, and the false is portrayed as the truth. So I think we have entered the age of enlightenment. We've gone through a phase of darkness. I think the Kali Yuga will probably still influence a certain amount, but I think we're entering into that because there are people who are being awakened. Sometimes one needs something to motivate you to do something, and it's got to be something bad to motivate you to do something good. And the worse we get, the more motivation there is for people to be better. So I think that there are many awakening souls. I'm sure there is. I think there's a spiritual circuit. There's one enlightened soul, one person can lead 10 million people out of darkness. And that the ratio at the moment is like 0.0001. But that's enough. And I think that number will grow. Because I think just about every person I met, they operate, as you mentioned, from a state of subconsciousness. The subconscious can't think. It only reacts. And most people don't have any control over the subconscious mind. A situation happens, they react straight away. They don't think. Because they're not aware, they react, and then sometimes they say things and do things that hurt other people. Even though it may be the truth. Sometimes they say that if you have to be quiet, be quiet. If it's going to hurt somebody, if it's not going to be beneficial by saying the truth, they'd rather keep quiet. But people always feel they need to say something, do something, when silence is sometimes the best communicator. I think people that this is why people who are, I think, who are on the path of self-realization, have very few friends. Nobody can talk to. I don't know, there's a single person that I've really, like part of this interview here, that I've really spoken to people about it because they would never understand. And so a lot of things I haven't shared with anybody because they will either look at you blankly or they think you're a bit crazy. So I just keep quiet then in that case. But you're quite right, there are a lot of charlatans who feel themselves as spiritual people. And sometimes they do more harm than good. Instead of leading people to a greater sense of freedom, they become more controlled. Because then they put all their faith into one person. And then what that person says, or what that guru says, or whatever. And then they're back in prison again.
Yeah. In a different way.
Yeah. You know, it's a gilded cage, it's still a cage. If we can see beauty in everything, and you wake up with a sense of gratitude, of being alive, and having this opportunity to experience beauty and love, and this paradise, because I think they say in spiritual circles that there are so many souls waiting to incarnate on planet Earth, because it's the most beautiful life university. Paradise compared to other planets where they could be sent off to. And here we had this opportunity. And so often we don't see it or we misuse it, we don't take advantage of the golden opportunity to attain self-realization. They say even the word man is a spiritual journey, but it comes from the word manava in Sanskrit. M for Maya, which means to dissipate the illusion, the ignorance of life. The realization of Atma, who we truly are, and then attain the state of nirvana, of bliss, M-A-N. That is our journey. That is why we were named Ben. It describes our spiritual journey. To wake up with a feeling of awe, to see everything and how perfectly balanced everything is, and how perfectly things complement each other in nature. And then you want to be, you can't help but want to be part of it. You don't want to, so many people are detached from nature, detached from life. Taking humanity as something, excuse me, something separate, but we're not. We're the only things that don't contribute anything towards nature. Everything else in nature, be it a fly, a mosquito, earthworm, bird, bee, one depends upon the other for their existence. We depend 100% on nature and give nothing back in return. Nothing. Nature would thrive without us. So we can integrate ourselves and be part of it. I think it's really awesome in that case, the true word of meaning of awesome. Once again, I think with awareness, you've got to ask questions. You've got to question everything. And we have within us all the intelligence, all the wisdom. We have to make a choice whether we want to be part of this and allow ourselves to be controlled by the systems, or we're going to stop the world and get off, just do our own thing and be driven from within, the truth, even though it may be uncomfortable for everybody else. But we have that choice. You know, there's three things, there's 5 things that differentiate us from animals. three of them. There's Viveka, Vairagya, Vichikshana. Be able to reason, to discriminate, to analyze situations, whatever people say, and the last thing, detachment. So we have that ability that animals don't have. Be able to, whatever is presented to us, whether it's a person, a philosophy, or whatever, to use our own intelligence, which is the greatest of all, to analyze it, get intuition to be able to analyze these things, disseminate it, and then say if it's not good enough, if it doesn't resonate with me, discard it or accept it. We have that ability. If we don't use it, we allow everybody else to make decisions for us. Because somebody's got a degree, or somebody says he's a master, or he's a professor, or we automatically assume that they know everything. They don't. All the knowledge, like the Vedas, is all within. We have that access all the time. We have it. We don't have to rely on anybody else. We don't even have to rely on a spiritual teacher. Because they also just came to show you that you have everything within yourself. You don't have to rely on anybody else. But we have abdicated our energy, our power, our true self. We have abdicated that to everybody else except ourselves. We've taken the words of politicians and scientists and church leaders and economists and you name it. We have to take, if we want to truly live a meaningful life, we have to take back that control. We have to say, no, I don't accept what you say. I'm going to question everything that you said and let my own true self, my own intuition guide me as to whether it's right or wrong, and then live according to that. You have to be true to yourself, your true self.
So why this human form? Why is this body the vessel for liberation and not something else? Why can the soul not liberate itself?
I think it needs a physical body to be able to express itself. Love, this is one of the things that we are capable of, apart from, I think, dogs. I think they have the inner track on love already too. But we have that capability of love. And the soul, or the Father within, whatever, needs something to be able to express itself. How else is it going to express itself unless through a human being? And we have the ability to express love towards each other and all life. And in that expression, I think we are the best expression of it, or we have the potential to be the best expression of that. But we block ourselves with fear. And to love is the greatest feeling, is the greatest, it casts off all burden, all baggage. You're a completely different being. You just when you can feel love to other things, other beings, other people. It's something that you can't put into words. Nobody can ever describe what love is. There's no words to describe it. So this feeling of oneness with everything, and I think we have the potential to be that. I think the soul needs a body to be able to express itself. And if soul, if God is love, we are the perfect example to be able to express that. I think the soul knows everything, but it needs an expression. This is life needs a tree to express itself, or life needs a body to express itself, but it's still being formed. It's life that controls and forms that body. It needs to, life and soul needs to express. Love, we tend to limit the expression of love as an emotional thing, but it is a creative force. It's not by chance they say love is God and God is love. We just need to know more about it. and not just the physical aspect of love, but the emotional aspect of love. We need to know, to begin to express more of love, and then we realize it is everything. Well, we're told that we are a particular part of the universe. The universe manifests itself, or life, or love, manifests itself as a particular, our being. And we are a particular expression of that universe, of that love, of that soul. We are a small part of it, and yet it contains everything. Like a drop of water in the ocean contains everything in the ocean, even though it's only a drop. So even though we are particular as an individual, we still contain within ourselves all the wisdom, all the knowledge of the universe, all the love of the universe. We have it within us, manifest in a more particular form, but it is there. We represent the universe. Every atom, every element in the universe is within us. In every thought, we have access to all the wisdom in the world. We only have a certain brain, but our mind is beyond the brain. And this is why this is such life is so beautiful, because when you realize that the potential is there, and it's only for us to awaken to it, to be aware of it, it is ours. Joy, happiness, love, abundance, perfection, everything. That's what life is. We just have to learn to align ourselves with that, instead of aligning ourselves with forces of lack and limitation and disharmony and dis-ease and anger and all that other stuff. That we have a choice to align with the negative or the positive, fear or love. So we all search for joy and happiness, and it's all around us. We just have to open our eyes and be aware of it and partake of it. But it's amazing that we choose the wrong thing. We choose falseness. We choose fear. And then we act or react out of that. You can't have love and fear. They're both opposite ends. And that's what I find with some of the things that Christianity teaches, like the Ten Commandments. That's not the true meaning of the word. In Sanskrit, it's not that at all. It's not a thou shalt not. Nothing to do with that. In Sanskrit, the original meaning is, if you love me, you will not do this. So it comes from a position of love, not a position of thou shalt not, as a fear that if you do something, you're going to be punished for it. So that's fear motivated. But the true meaning is, if you love me, if you are one with the Spirit, if you're one with the law of the universe, which is the law of Spirit, which is love, if you are one with love, you will not do these things automatically. It doesn't say don't do it. If you love me, don't do it. I mean, how often does one partner say to the other, a husband to a wife, or wife to a daughter, whatever, if you love me, you will not do it. And you don't do it, because there's something greater. There's love is your motivation, not fear. So these things that unfortunately have been mistranslated to hold people in subjugation and fear. When the whole thing was all about love. What did Jesus came to say? Two commandments. Love your neighbor as yourself. Well, love your God with all your heart and soul. Love your neighbor. How can you equate that with the Ten Commandments? We've come to fulfill that. One is fear, one is love. How can you fulfill that? It's just the opposite. But if you take this as being an expression of love, then yes, then you make the 12. So everything that you think about is based on this one thing, love. Just, you take everything, all spiritual teachings, to me, comes down to one word. It's more than words, it's a big expression, but it comes down to the one thing, love.
Do you have any regrets? What do you wish you had known earlier in your life?
I don't have any regrets. Every experience, everything has been a learning experience. If it's been negative or harmful, I've learned from it. So no, I have absolutely no regrets at all. If I passed away tomorrow, I'd be very happy with where I am now. and the journey that I've been on. I have absolutely no regrets. I treasure every moment, if it's been good or bad. It was bad, whatever was been negative has always been a great learning experience for me. So, no regrets at all.
Is there anything you wish you had known earlier?
Once again, no, because I believe that everything happens at its right time. And when I look back, I see that everything has happened the way it should have happened, and the time it should have happened. Because I do believe that there is a greater plan for us, that our lives are planned. There may be, there may be variations in between, where we make choices, good choices or bad choices. But overall, there is a plan. And I believe that that I've been living according to that plan, and whatever has happened at the right time. Sometimes I think, well, maybe it could have happened earlier. No, that I think often no, it wouldn't have been the right time. When it happened, was exactly the right time it should have happened, whatever it was. I think it's everything happened perfectly. So.
And the next question is, what makes you truly happy?
I think what makes me truly happy is a state of being. I'm content. I think having gone through different stages of trying to find, well, not I still have my main purpose in life, but on that journey to have gone so far, and there's still still work in progress. But where I am right now has given me great peace and contentment and love. I found the greatest thing that I've learned, that if you boil everything down, is love. And that's what I feel I have. Get a little bit emotional.
Oh no, don't worry about it.
Sai Baba has said, and first of all, before that, I got a message telepathically that but when you attain love, or you achieve love, the true meaning of love, you can put all books aside. Whereas the Bible, the Bhagavad Gita, the Tao Te Ching, you don't need them because you have attained everything that you wanted to in life. And then about a few months later, I picked up a book at random and opened the page. And Sai Baba said the same thing. He said, when you attain love, you have achieved everything. And that has been my cultivation. That is the cultivation of the different facets of love. And that gives me great happiness. To have found the one thing is that the core of all religion, of all spirituality, of all creation is love. And all its facets. And that's what I work on. I'm working on all these different, I've so far identified 25 different facets of love. So I'm working on polishing them, so to speak. But once the realization that I am love, that is the essence of my being. And everything I do, whether I breathe, whether I beat of my heart, everything is love. That gives me great happiness. It's also said, birds live in the air and fish live in the water. We live in love. We breathe love, we see love, we hear love. To me, that gives me great happiness. And I try and to project that, because the more that you express, the more that comes through. And I just love life, period. And that makes me happy. Because I now feel I'm one with everything. I'm not separate from nature, I'm not separate from life. I am an expression of life. I'm an expression of love. It makes me happy.
Have you written your 25 facets down?
Yes, I have.
And would you write a book?
Write a book?
Yeah.
I don't know about that.
Why not?
I hadn't thought about it. let's first work on myself first. There's still a lot to be done.
Yeah.
But it's so joyful because even little things, forgiveness and what that's the one thing, the first thing we was taught in metaphysics was forgiveness. To forgive everybody who has harmed you, and for you to ask for forgiveness for people that you have harmed. Once that is taken away, it's a great weight taken off your shoulders. Then you can proceed. Otherwise, you carry this baggage with you all the time. But forgiveness, gratitude, selflessness. They say that love is selflessness and self is lovelessness. So I want to be in love, I've got to be selfless. And that gives me great joy. When you're not thinking of yourself, you're thinking of other people, you're thinking of other things, other beings, be it your animals or whatever. Whatever's the expression of creation. Yeah.
Do you sense that when you were younger, that spark was already there?
It must have been. It must have been, because you don't realize it. The first time I think I realized it was when, because living in boarding school, we were surrounded by forest. There was no communication with any other. There was no villages or towns or anything.
Yeah.
And then you come to the UK and you've got thousands, millions of people, and then it awakens something. What is going on? What is life? Is this what life is? There must be more to it. That's when I think the spark first began. And also in the Catholic Church, we brought up that you're living in purgatory. After you die, you go to purgatory. And from purgatory, you go to heaven or hell. And I thought, no. For some unknown reason, I just knew. And I said to myself, God is love. He can't be a vengeful God or a judging God. I just knew that at the time. That God is love.
He wouldn't create you to send you to hell.
Yeah, exactly.
You said you were baptized Catholic.
Yeah.
Your parents were Catholic?
Yes. Yeah.
Were they very spiritual people?
They weren't. But since they've passed away, I've realized that they have attained more than they thought. Because by giving up all their way of life in India, because they lived a very comfortable life. They had lots of friends, they didn't have the burden of children around them in boarding school. So they had a good life, both my mother and father, but they gave that up for us. And everything that they've done I've seen since then is an expression of selflessness and self-sacrifice. And I've thought to myself, Mom and Dad, you may not have realized it, but you have attained spirituality because you were self-sacrificed, and you had selfless love. What more is there? So they, unbeknown to them, I think, have attained that spirituality. And so often I think we don't realize how much our parents do for us until it's too late to appreciate them and to thank them for it. So I think we must always be cognizant of not just our parents, but our siblings and everybody who contributes to our well-being. It's because of them that we are where we are now. We have learned through interactions with them. So I'm very humbled when I think of what my parents did for us. I would say just one thing really. Have a purpose in life. And have a noble purpose in life. If you have one noble purpose in life, everything else just comes together after that. It's subservient to that. One noble purpose that drives you. And everything else that happens in the external world of your job and your family and relationships and all the rest of it, they must complement that. They mustn't be the end, because there's more to it than that. So I would say, and I think this is the driving thing, is to have one noble purpose in life. Be it self-realization, be it the solution of falseness, illusions, of ignorance, moksha, one noble purpose that drives you, and everything else is subservient to that. It's just, that's what I find myself. As long as I have that one purpose, everything else just falls into place.
And will that carry you through your whole life?
Absolutely. If it's a single noble purpose, something that's higher than yourself, something that, why not the pinnacle? Why not the most noble? Self-realization, who you are. Everything else just happens. You meet people accordingly, like us also, that contribute towards that, the attainment of that one. I think we must aim for the highest. If you don't attain it, at least you're higher than where you are now, if you don't attain that. But if you strive for something lower, and you don't attain that, then you're much lower than you were before. So, to me, that's the one thing. Aim for the highest, most noblest purpose in life. Have a purpose in life. Simple as that. I find the truth is very simple.